More than 2 million emergency calls are made every year in Victoria.
You're not going to die, mate. You're not going to die.
Well done.
One call every 12 seconds.
Securing the survivor.
On the front line,
You're with the ambulance. We've got ya.
paramedics work around the clock,
You're being very, very brave.
fighting to save lives.
Pass me your hand. It's okay.
Cameras capture unguarded moments
Doing a good job, buddy.
of compassion
Hello, look where you are.
Is that better? Yeah.
and laughter.
We got it.
This is not a catastrophe.
It's all part of the daily lives
Congratulations!
of these emergency service heroes.
It's Emily Lum. I'll look after you, I promise.
Woo! Yay!
On this episode of Paramedics,
Nice and still.
a freak accident leaves a man trapped and fighting for his life.
What do you reckon the weight of that tree would have been? A couple of 100 kilos, if not more?
Yeah. The impact that this could have on his life could be catastrophic.
Are you able to talk to me at all?
A terrified mother can no longer breathe.
It was like a switch and her airways essentially closed off. The first thing that went through my mind was that I think she's going to die.
Now went to the hospital.
Siren.
And Cam and Al bend the rules for a special patient.
How about that?
We want to make people feel better. Sometimes it takes medications. Sometimes you've just got to put on the sirens.
That's serious business now with the sirens.
Okay, pump the chest hard and fast, 30 times, at least twice per second.
It's a busy day at the Victorian Emergency Communications Centre.
Emergency services. So what's happened there today, sir?
Right now, there's another urgent call for help coming in.
I've just come past and this guy's had a log go across his leg and he's broken his leg and he's bleeding.
A man has just been found in remote bushland, all alone with a shocking injury.
Okay, are you with him now, or you've had to drive somewhere else?
I've had to drive to get reception.
The hero of the moment, Steve, is staying calm despite his incredible efforts to save the man.
So I've cut the log and got the log off his leg.
Okay.
So the tree crushed his leg. So it's dangling from just above the ankle.
Response 99, receive that, mate.
Mobile intensive care paramedic Steve is on the way.
The information's sort of limited, but they're saying Dent's been crushed by a tree that's fallen on his ankle, so most likely broken bones. I'm worried about, obviously, even blood loss, if it's broken the skin and the bones come out.
If the blood supply is affected to the foot, then like any part of the human body, at some stage it's going to die. And the time frames that it could take us to get there and actually get into a hospital could be the difference between him having surgery or actually losing his leg.
Okay. Do you know when this actually happened?
He's going to be been there about half an hour, he reckons.
Well, I've sent for help, okay?
I'll go there and wait with him and keep him company until someone arrives.
Okay, great. They'll be there as soon as possible, sir. Oh, gee, she's dark and murky.
As we're heading closer to this job, we're getting more and more up into the bush and the weather's really deteriorating.
All right.
This gent's lying on the ground. He's exposed to the elements. So I'm really worried about the effects that could have on his actual limb as he starts to shut down just to try and keep the core part of his body warm.
Hey, how are you guys? I'm Steve.
I'm Melissa.
Melissa? And most importantly?
And this is Travis.
G'day, Travis. How's it going, bud? I bet you are, mate. Let's get you comfortable.
Good Samaritan Steve is relieved help has finally arrived. He managed to get the huge log off Travis's leg, but the patient is still in agony.
Travis, out of 10, mate, it's 10 out of 10 at the moment, the pain? Yeah. We're just going to pop a little needle in your arm here.
Whatever you have to do.
Just get me pain relief, eh?
So it looks like Travis has broken both bones in his lower leg, and it's a really nasty looking break with the potential for the bones to have actually come out and gone back in. Our priority at this point in time is to do everything to save Travis's lower leg.
Today is actually my 18th wedding anniversary.
Beautiful.
But as with ambulance in general, you don't get to choose the days you do and don't work, so I'm here, mate.
Instead of spending the special day with his wife, Cam is spending it with good friend and fellow paramedic veteran, Al.
Any plans?
Oh, I reckon I'll get home by about 11:30 midnight, so who knows? I'll tap her on the shoulder and say, "G'day, love, I'm home. Happy anniversary. Night-night."
Yeah, well, that's all you need to say to her.
Yep.
Night-night.
Yeah. 18 years, she's going all right. Yep. I'll sign her up for another year or two. No. To tell you the truth, I am very lucky. She is an amazing mother and excellent partner. I'll definitely try not to be working for my 20-year anniversary, hun. I'll see if I can get that one off.
Emergency services, tell me exactly what's happened.
We have a boy having an asthma attack. We've given him 4 puffs of Ventolin and he's not improving. He's gasping for breath.
An SOS is coming in from a primary school. A 9-year-old student is having an asthma attack and is getting worse.
Does he have difficulty speaking between breaths?
Yes. He said he was in hospital with asthma 5 days ago.
So, a history of asthma that's unresponsive to
non-responsive to his own asthma plan. And of course, the issue with asthma, it's dynamic, so it can rapidly deteriorate.
Jobs with kids are always nerve-wracking, and asthma is a pretty scary disease. There we go. I got a waiver. We've become a little bit blasé about it within the community because so many people have it. G'day, how you going?
Good, how you going?
But a really quick onset acute asthma episode can be life-threatening.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Jaden.
G'day, Jaden. My name's Al. This is Cam.
Hi, mate.
Jaden, I'm just going to have a listen to your chest, if that's all right.
So we walk in, and my initial thought is he's conscious, he's alert, his skin colour's good. But kids have smaller airways, smaller lungs, so when you put an illness like asthma on top of that, it doesn't leave a lot of room for error.
Still got a wheeze.
You can go from kid just having a little bit of shortness of breath to airways tightened up and not being able to move oxygen very quickly.
Jaden, it's okay, mate. It's okay.
All right, mate, so you're just going to get some pain relief now?
In dense bushland northeast of Melbourne, 44-year-old Travis is in terrible pain after a tree fell on his leg, snapping the bones. Travis spent an agonising 30 minutes trapped under the tree before Steve came to his rescue.
So you're his mate, are you, bud?
No, I was just driving past.
Oh, you're just driving past, okay. Yeah.
Steve was travelling down the road when Travis threw a set of earmuffs in front of his car to try and get his attention. Amazingly, Steve spotted them, pulled over, found Travis and cut the log off his leg.
Travis is, without doubt, one of the luckiest people in Australia right now. This is an extremely remote road where there would barely be 1 or 2 cars passing along it each day. He could have quite easily lost his life. He could have been exposed to the elements all night and not been found until a search was conducted for a missing person.
We'll get some ketamine drawn up because we're going to have to split that and it's going to be bloody sore.
Are we moving in the right direction at all, mate? Yeah? What's it down to now, bud?
Probably about 8.
Yeah.
The strong pain relief is helping, but Steve is still worried about the confronting leg injury.
What do you reckon the estimate weight of that tree would have been? A couple of 100 kilos, if not more?
Yeah, right.
I'm really worried that as a result of that compressive force, Travis's foot may have not had any blood supply for upwards of half hour, and so his injury actually puts him into a time-critical situation. So I believe at this point in time it's necessary that the helicopter is dispatched because we need to have him in hospital very, very quickly in order to try and save that limb.
All right, Trav, I'm going to give you something pretty strong called ketamine, mate, and purely to try and get you into a state where we can actually move that leg and get it splintered.
Let's do what we have to do.
Responsibility 9. Could you go to a micro-rescue again, please?
Yeah, response 9 on received.
Intensive care paramedic Cullen is on his way to a critically ill man. The patient has an extensive cardiac history. Today, his heart is no longer functioning properly.
They're just about to come up on air and give us a sit rep.
Male, sudden onset, chest pain, smelly, diaphoretic, sat on mid-60s, tactic 120.
The update from the first ambulance crew to reach the patient has Cullen worried.
Due to previous heart attacks, it sounds like this patient is in heart failure. That occurs because the patient's heart doesn't pump as effectively as it should. That leads to a build-up of fluid in the lungs, which means that the body can't get as much oxygen into the blood. The worst case scenario here is that the patient will go into respiratory failure, stop breathing, and then go into cardiac arrest.
Guys, it might be worthwhile to load and we'll meet en route to hospital. Yeah.
This patient is time critical. Every second, every minute is going to count.
G'day, mate. How you going? My name's Cullen.
So onset time of approximately 11 today of central chest pain.
Yeah.
And then slowly develop shortness of breath. Heart rate of 112. He has had 300 mics of sublingual GTN.
Yeah.
He's got a patch on and he's had aspirin at home.
Yep, sure.
Some changes, not fully diagnostic, but depression in his V5, V6.
All right.
There are some changes on this guy's ECG, so I can't rule out that he's not having a heart attack until he gets blood tested at hospital. But right at this moment, I need to treat his heart failure.
Hello, sir. My name's Cullen. I'm an intensive care paramedic, all right? I'm going to look after you, mate.
This man is very sweaty. He's working really hard to breathe, so much so he can't even speak. On the scale of 1 to 10 for sickness, this guy's, a 9 out of 10. And if I don't improve the oxygenation of his blood, he'll go into cardiac arrest.
Okay, just relax your breathing, mate.
That's maybe the anxiety, the angst, the scariness.
At a primary school in Melbourne's southeast, an anxious Jaden is being comforted by his dad, Paul, after suffering an asthma attack.
The school have been great. They've treated him with a puffer.
Micah paramedics Cam and Al were called after the 9-year-old failed to respond to asthma medication.
Jaden, come on, mate.
Dad Paul rushed him to emergency for a similar attack only a week ago.
He's got good movement of air. All his numbers are good, but he does still have an expiratory and inspiratory wheeze.
Jaden's got some wheezes throughout his lungs, so he's still got a little bit of constriction within his airways. And even though he's presenting pretty good at the moment, there's nothing saying that he's not going to deteriorate.
Feeling all right?
No, it's all right.
Worse, okay. Given that he hasn't had an adequate response with the inhaler, I think we give him another Ventolin dose and then we'll take him up to hospital. I feel for Jaden. He's been in hospital previously and now here we go again. He's still a little bit tight in his chest, so I'm giving Jaden a puffer, which basically will just reduce some of the inflammation, but it takes a bit of time. You all right? Another one coming? All right, we'll do 4. I can see how frightened he is. I can see how distressed he is. Good man. Do you think we can take a couple of steps and we'll get moving with you? For him, it's like breathing through a straw. That's how difficult it is for him to breathe. We need to get Jaden into the ambulance. There's still a risk that he might deteriorate. Just relax, mate. We've got to get him to hospital quickly. Jaden, it's all good, mate. We'll get going.
If I can just delegate to you looking after the GTN, okay, and draw me up some Lasix.
On the outskirts of Melbourne, intensive care paramedic Cullen is urgently assessing a man in heart failure.
Hand size 35, 6.
Yeah.
His patient could go into cardiac arrest at any moment.
What I need to do is have a listen to his breathing. Can you sit forward for a little bit for me? Just a little bit.
So I'm listening to his chest and I can hear fine crackles up to the mid-zone of his lungs. So basically his lungs are over half full of fluid and it would feel like he's drowning from the inside.
Another 300 of GTN?
Yes, please.
Cullen needs to get intravenous access so he can administer pain relief and life-saving medication to reduce the fluid on the man's lungs.
Just give me that hand there, mate. Sorry, mate. I can't get a line. If we lose his conscious state in this setting, it's going to be problematic. So we'll get wheels under him. What's our destination hospital?
Sunshine.
All right, so you start driving now, I reckon. Mate, I'm going to care for you, all right? We're going to do our best. We're taking you to hospital, OK? Sats were 88% on prong, so I think we're going to need to do CPAP, yeah. The supplemental oxygen we've got on the patient at the moment isn't bringing up his oxygen levels enough. I think if we just pull over, get PP on. Yep. And he's working really hard to breathe, so we need to give him something to get more oxygen into his blood. All right, we're going to give you a mask that is going to help you breathe, OK? So CPAP introduces oxygen at higher pressure to enable the airways to stay open. All right, lift your head forward. It also increases the patient's ability to breathe more easily. Therefore, we can get more oxygen into the blood and also reduce the amount of fluid in the lungs. How's that? Is that all right? I'm right to move again, thank you. I'm going to give you an injection for pain in your chest, OK? Bit of a sting here, mate.
Cullen's been able to give the man morphine in his arm, but he still can't get IV access.
I can't get a line in you at the moment. My only other option is to actually drill a hole in your bone, all right? Drilling into the bone is one of our last resorts to get access to administer life-saving drugs. But when people are this sick, it can mean the difference between life and death.
James, if you apply some traction, I'm going to roll in from this side. Nice and still. You're doing great. All right, everyone's ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
44-year-old Travis's leg has been shattered after a tree fell on him.
Ready, set, go.
After being given ketamine to control the severe pain, intensive care paramedic Steve is now getting the lucky survivor on the way to hospital.
Doing great, buddy.
So now that we have Travis up, it's really important that we get him into the ambulance so I can expose the leg and the foot and actually have a look and see what damage has been done.
All right, mate, you're doing really good, Trav. If you guys can take your shoe off. There's a bit more clarity there than I would have liked, actually.
The bones are definitely broken. There is a puncture mark, which is most likely as a result of the bone coming out. I'm really worried about nerve damage and contamination of the actual wound, so through dirt and mud, and I'm still worried about blood supply.
All right, we'll get that CT6 on. Just dress that foot.
Yeah.
So we're going to apply a traction splint that actually immobilises the leg and keeps the bones separated and allows for blood supply to be restored.
Trev, this goes up near your hip. Yeah. And once it's there, mate, you're going to be like, oh, thank God. You've got good cap refill.
Yeah, good pedal pulse.
Pedal pulse, good. You'll get your toes for me, bud? Good man.
While the team realign the leg,
can you put your phone number somewhere? Oh, I've got it, please.
Travis's only worry is getting a contact number for Steve, the hero who heard his calls for help and saved him.
Cheers, buddy.
All the best, Travis. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for your help, bud. Appreciate your work.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Take the wood out of the back of me, you. Nah, it's all right. I'm not going to need it raw. See you, Trav. You're a legend, mate.
All right, let's get him out of here.
Now that we've got Travis splintered, the priority is to get him to the helicopter so he can get into a trauma centre as quick as possible.
Thank you, I'm happy to roll.
This is lovely.
This is where I take Lucy to the beach.
Yeah.
Good mates Steve and Emily are waiting for their first job to come through. Being by the water is making Emily think of her home on the other side of the country.
Send this girl back to Perth to see her family. That's what I want.
The homesick 27-year-old left her family in Western Australia 4 years ago to take up a job with Ambulance Victoria.
Honestly, hands down the best day of my life, finding out that I was going to be a paramedic in Melbourne. My dream. But I come from a really big family, a huge family actually, so it is really hard being away. Unfortunately, that's just what sort of has to happen for me to pursue my career here. But hopefully I'll get back there and be reunited with everyone again, if they remember who I am.
Emergency Services. Tell me exactly what's happened.
My mum's pulled the socket out of her right hip, which she had replaced in early November.
A worried daughter has come home and found her mum in serious trouble.
Apparently this has happened about 11 o'clock today. I've just turned up at home. I've managed to get her feet up, but she's screaming.
Okay. I'm organising that help for you now.
So we're going to
Yeah?
87-year-old female, pulled hip out while sitting, twisted in bed at 11. 11?
So she's been there all day. Oh my God.
So she's going to be very uncomfortable. All right, love, we're coming.
When a limb or a joint has come out of its fixture, it's going to cause a lot of pain. There's lots of nerves in the area, there's lots of vasculature in the area, and because the hip has been out for 8 hours, we need to make sure that there isn't any serious damage.
Go to this nana and I'll act like she's my grandma. I hope she likes to cuddle.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Who do we have here?
My mum, Mercedes.
Hello, Mercedes.
Hello.
Oh, darling. So my name's Emily and I have Steve with me.
So on Friday, she was sitting this side.
Yeah.
She was putting her pants on and the socket went out. So we went
Just
to
like that.
emergency and they put it in.
Okay.
Okay? Then today, she went to get up and she heard the click again and that was it.
Okay. Very frustrating for you that this keeps happening.
Clarissa had just dropped her mum home after a trip to the hairdressers when the accident happened. Unfortunately, Mercedes was by herself at the time.
Now, Mercedes, you feel me touching here?
We're checking to see if there's any nerve damage. Is there any sensation that's altered? Is it completely numb or is it tingling?
Okay. Here?
And does the limb have a pulse?
Can you wriggle your toes at all?
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Well done.
Thankfully, there's no sign of major damage to the nerves or blood supply. But further tests will be needed at hospital.
When we move you, it's going to be very painful. So I'm going to give you some medications. Sharp little sting, okay? Medication's going in now.
Thank you very much.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, up we go.
Yep, there we are.
Beautiful.
You're very big.
Ah, very strong. I don't want to brag, but I did go to the gym this morning. I'm just going to let Mercedes be the boss here and tell me what she needs and when she can move, because we don't want her to move awkwardly or cause her more pain.
1, 2, 3. There we go.
We want to get Mercedes off to hospital as soon as we can. The longer the hip is out, the greater the chance of permanent damage.
Okay. There we go.
Feeling all right?
9-year-old Jaden is on his way to the emergency department after being struck down by a frightening asthma attack at school.
So, are we getting more frequent episodes?
Yeah.
Only 5 days ago, Dad Paul rushed his son to hospital after a similar attack.
Asthma's a really dynamic disease, so there's a potential for him to deteriorate. I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, he actually starts to get better. So your heart rate's sitting at 100, your oxygen saturation's at 100.
Al is keeping a close eye on Jaden's vital signs. But it's clear his young patient is already starting to relax.
Now left the hospital.
Siren. Is there a chance at some stage, Cam?
Yeah, I'll do that. How about that?
That's serious business now with the sirens.
Did you hear that, Jay?
You know, you want to make people feel better. That's part of our job. Sometimes it takes medications to do it. Sometimes it just takes verbal reassurance. And sometimes you've just got to put on the sirens.
So, our paperwork's on a computer. Do I look old? I think I'm older than Dad. And I'm not really good at the computer. So I'm going to get him to help me do it. Anyway, he doesn't realise that yet.
I'll do it.
Cam and Al have done their job of making Jaden feel better.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
But Paul won't stop worrying until doctors have done a full assessment and cleared his son of any major breathing problems.
At the moment, Jaden's fine, but they might want to do chest x-rays or do blood work on him and just monitor him for a little while to see that he doesn't deteriorate again.
That's the computer, mate. If you can write this up for me, I'd be wrapped.
Day, eh?
I thought I was going to be in there for a long night.
In remote bushland northeast of Melbourne, Micah paramedic Steve and lucky survivor Travis are on their way to meet up with the air ambulance.
You're peripherally quite cold. That's because you've been sitting out in the bush.
Travis's leg was badly broken when a huge tree fell on him. The 44-year-old feared he might never make it out.
So I had a saw that I tried to cut it through it myself.
Yep.
I only had probably that much to go to cut it, and I would have
been able to free it at least, yeah.
But the saw ended up getting jammed.
Oh, God.
Like, lucky that I had someone come past.
I can't imagine what must have been going through Travis's mind whilst he was laying there on the ground. I even start to wonder whether or not there was any thoughts that he may have had to actually even try and take his leg off in order to get out.
Best case scenario, it's just a nasty fracture, but with the tree falling so heavy on your leg and that compressive force, I'm a little bit worried about some damage to the tissue.
Yep.
All right, I don't think we're too far off the landing site. All right, nearly there. All right, so I'm just going to hand over to the paramedics here.
Yeah.
Snowy, how are you, mate?
Hello there, Travis.
G'day, mate. Nice to meet you. A few bumps as you come in.
Travis will now be flown to Melbourne's Alfred Hospital, where doctors will try to repair his badly shattered leg.
Pleasure to meet you, mate.
You too.
Wish you all the best.
I'd rather meet you at the pub somewhere.
I'm sure.
So even though we've got Travis to the helicopter safely, he has a long road ahead.
Have a safe flight, boys.
Even though he's going to have surgery, I'm still worried that if there is nerve damage or if there is infection, it could result in permanent damage to the leg. So the impact that this could have on his life could be catastrophic.
Everybody has a person at their friends who eats other people's ice creams. You know, you leave an ice cream and you come back like a week later and someone ate it.
It's been a very ordinary start to the day for Simon, and he's venting to his partner and protege, Michaela.
And you know what's even worse?
What?
They leave the box in there. You put your hand in the box and it's like heartbreak.
What about people who drink out of your coffee cup? Like, you know, like you have your coffee cup?
I drank out of your coffee cup once.
No, you didn't.
I did.
What?
And I didn't tell you.
Oh, this is... Wow. And I thought we were friends.
While Simon definitely needs a job right now to distract Michaela, across town...
What's up?
We're meeting up with 9, I think.
Oh, yeah. We're just meeting up with another intensive care paramedic, all right? You're that sick. We need 2 of us in there just in case.
Cullen is becoming increasingly worried about his seriously ill patient. The man is in heart failure with a dangerous build-up of fluid on his lungs.
How are you, Daryl, mate? Long history, really struggling with his work of breathing, so we had to go with CPAP.
A patient that's experiencing heart failure is critically unwell.
I'm right to move off again.
These patients are very dynamic and they can deteriorate very quickly. So this guy's as sick as you get.
Life-saving medication is needed, but the man's body is so shut down, intravenous access isn't possible.
You got the drill there all ready to go? Yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
Cullen's only option now is to drill into the man's leg and inject straight into the bone.
It can be really confronting to drill a needle into someone's bone whilst they're still awake.
Just want to prop for 30 seconds. I think it's probably safer to prop.
But this patient is really sick, and I think he's resigned to the fact, you know, he wants us to do whatever we need to do to get him better.
Sharp out. Bit of pressure here, mate.
That's it, mate. Really well done. Well done.
Sharp out. Just pushing a little bit of anaesthetic in there.
So I'm giving him some fentanyl. I'm also going to give him a medication called furosemide, which reduces the amount of fluid in his lungs.
Hopefully you're a bit more comfortable now. Let's just get another blood pressure.
I can't imagine how terrifying this must be for the patient. Every breath, he's trying to get as much oxygen into his lungs as possible, and none of it's enough. I'm doing my best for him, but he must be scared.
We're going to keep this mask on when we go in, OK? Because it's assisting your breathing.
I've got him here safely and alive, but it's not over yet. Anything can happen.
Emergency services. Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
My mum is having an asthma attack. Can't breathe.
Back at the Emergency Communications Centre, there's been a sudden spike in calls from asthma sufferers after a change in Melbourne's famously fickle weather. A terrified daughter is watching her mum gasp for air.
Is she changing colour?
Her colour's going a little bit grey and her wheezing is getting wet.
All right, we've got help coming to her as quickly as they can, OK?
With the woman quickly deteriorating, Simon and Michaela are on their way.
So we've been dispatched to a female with a history of asthma, and she's presented short of breath and ineffectively breathing.
Yep. I do want you to stay with Mum. Keep a nice close eye on her. I want you to let me know if anything changes, OK? You're doing a really good job.
Her wheezing is becoming louder and her eyes are shutting. Mum, just keep breathing.
Quoting with a cigarette from Marco when ready.
30, go ahead.
Another ambulance crew has just arrived at the patient's apartment.
Blood pressure is 200 on 120.
No worries, we're just a kilometre away.
Respiratory patients are fragile and they're dynamic. So they tend to deteriorate really quickly if we don't manage them aggressively. That should be the one then.
Hello.
The patient's daughter, Tara, meets Simon and Michaela at the door.
Hello there. I'm Simon.
When we arrived, respiratory rate was 40.
Yeah.
That's at 82. We have started the Ventolin and the NIP.
Yeah.
And she's just had dexamethasone.
Yeah.
Naomi looks distressed. You can see in her eyes that she's scared.
How do you feel now? Are you able to talk to me at all, or you're too short of breath to talk?
Few bumps, okay, love?
Emily and Steve are getting ready to take Mercedes and her daughter Clarissa to hospital.
OK. All good?
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Despite already having had a hip replacement, the 87-year-old is suffering her second dislocation of the joint in just a few days. Not that she's complaining.
You tell me, if this pain gets worse, I'll give you some more medication.
No.
Okay, but you tell me, you let me know.
You married or not married?
No, not married.
And has two beautiful grandchildren.
Would I like them?
Yeah.
Oh.
One is 21 and the other one 18.
Oh, too young for me.
You have to look for more older.
Mercedes has told me to find a sugar daddy.
Did she really?
Yeah, I need to find one with money.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
I've got a boyfriend, but he doesn't have the money. So what do I do?
He's good.
He's good.
He's good. You make the money together with him.
Yes.
Because I come in Australia and I have nothing.
You have nothing and you work for everything.
Yeah.
That's why you're such a strong lady.
Yeah.
Off we go.
You're very happy.
I am happy because you are lovely and I love beautiful nanas. I don't have any nana here in Melbourne. You can be my new nana.
Yeah.
All the patients love Em. She's just got this kind nature about her and that presence. She's one of those people that people just gravitate to because she's just lovely.
And just like that, we're here.
Mercedes will now be taken into the ED, where doctors will try to put the hip back in.
We'll bring you out like a queen, okay?
But the 87-year-old may be facing surgery again and a long rehabilitation.
All good to go?
Good to go.
You look so comfortable there.
I'm really hopeful that the doctors can get to the bottom of what's going on with Mercedes' hip and this doesn't affect her independence moving forward. But I do worry that she's got a long battle ahead.
was a beautiful nana.
What did you say at the end, before you were leaving?
I said, I love you. Just by accident. I had no idea what I was saying. And she goes, love you. Oh, my heart. I could cry. I was like, you were just beautiful.
I always tell people I love them.
I don't regret it. I regret nothing.
I wouldn't regret it either.
She was beautiful, yep.
It's okay, it's okay.
Michaela and Simon are urgently assessing Naomi.
Let's see what those numbers are.
The 63-year-old is in severe respiratory distress.
Okay. We'll just let that nebulizer go through.
Daughter Tara was about to leave for a dance class when her mum suddenly couldn't breathe.
Mum did escalate within probably 30 seconds. It was like a switch and her airways essentially closed off. It's hard to put into words how much your mum means to you. And I think that's why it's so overwhelming, because you think the worst case scenario and that's it.
All right, so we'll pop that one out.
With Naomi still struggling to get air in, Simon is now using a specialised mask to help push oxygen into her lungs.
This mask will make it much easier for you to breathe. It does go on a bit tight, but if you can sort of just settle for a couple of minutes, your work of breathing will significantly improve.
All right.
You're doing excellent, Naomi.
Naomi's still working really hard to breathe. She also has a really high potential to deteriorate, so it's not something that we like to sit around on scene with. We need to get her to hospital quickly.
How much did we have you okay?
You just sit nice and still.
Simon and Michaela are preparing to take 63-year-old Naomi to hospital.
You're doing really well.
Daughter Tara called an ambulance when her mum was suddenly unable to breathe.
Pop you back on our monitor.
Naomi needs to get to hospital quickly, but the devoted mum has other concerns.
Hang on a minute, she said.
Has she got a key?
Has she got a key?
I will not be able to get back into the building.
It's okay, you just concentrate on the breathing.
I've got my key.
She's got her key.
She's got her key.
Okay, good.
You're
good.
worrying about everyone else.
Yeah.
Mum is very caring and does worry about other people before herself. They say that mums and daughters have a special connection, and I think that we do.
Everything's okay, all right?
All right, are you happy to move?
Yep.
I do know that if there's anything that's going on in my life, that Mum will definitely be there to catch me when I fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you can't breathe, it can be terrifying because it can happen out of the blue, and then you get this anxiety which makes the whole process worse. It can be extremely distressing.
You got a headache. Your carbon dioxide might be a little bit high or something if you've got a headache.
Despite the oxygen treatment, Naomi is still suffering with the side effects of her extreme shortness of breath. Fortunately, the hospital is just moments away.
For Naomi, on arrival at hospital, they will do a chest x-ray, they'll do some bloods and continued management, but they need to work out what exactly exacerbated this situation today.
You're doing excellent, Naomi.
Naomi's presentation is very dynamic and she could deteriorate again, so she's definitely not out of the woods.
Okay, just relax your breathing, mate.
Asthma patient Jaden had a frightening attack at school.
Feeling all right?
No, it's all right.
The young student was taken to hospital for further investigation.
Now went to the hospital.
About that.
That's serious business now with the sirens.
The 9-year-old now carries his Ventolin with him at all times.
Mate, I'm going to care for you, all right? We're going to do our best.
Cullen's patient was on the verge of cardiac arrest after suffering heart failure.
He's still struggling.
The Micah paramedic was forced to drill into the man's leg.
Bit of pressure here, mate.
to give him the life-saving drugs he so desperately needed.
That's it, mate. Really well done.
After receiving treatment in hospital, the man is now back home recovering with his family. He was extremely grateful to the paramedics, but requested he remain anonymous. Travis was in agony after becoming trapped when a huge tree fell on him, breaking his leg.
So you're his mate, are you, bud?
No, I was just driving past.
Oh, you're just driving past, okay. Yeah.
It was Steve who saved Travis when he heard his desperate calls for help.
Say, Trav, you're a legend, mate.
The 44-year-old was airlifted to Melbourne for emergency treatment. Paramedics were worried Travis may have permanent damage to his leg. But after a major operation, doctors are hopeful he will make a full recovery.
I'm really happy to hear that Travis is back up on his feet now after having successful surgery, and I really hope he gets the opportunity to catch up with Steve, and I probably think he owes him a beer for saving his life.
Very frustrating for you that this keeps happening.
Yeah, I know.
87-year-old Mercedes needed Steve and Emily's help when she dislocated her hip.
It happened early.
Yeah.
And have you been on the bed ever since?
Well, I didn't sit out here.
The brave grandmother spent nearly 8 hours unable to move before the alarm was raised. At hospital, Mercedes had surgery and spent almost 2 weeks in rehab.
We'll bring you out like a queen, okay?
Fortunately, she's now back home, where daughter Clarissa is continuing to take good care of Mum.
Send this girl back to Perth to see her family. That's what I want.
Meanwhile, when COVID restrictions lifted, Emily finally made it back to Perth to reunite with her mum.
Just cried, we hugged, we kissed, we laughed. Seeing all my friends and family was exactly what I needed. It was just so wonderful.
Are you able to talk to me at all? You're too short of breath to talk?
63-year-old Naomi was left gasping for air after she suddenly went into respiratory distress.
This mask will make it much easier for you to breathe.
Daughter Tara was worried her mum wouldn't make it.
Hi, Mum. Oh, Tara. Hi. How are you?
Naomi survived the frightening attack and found out it was caused by a rare and very dangerous spasm of her vocal cords.
You're just in time. Do you want a coffee?
Had Tara not been at home, Naomi could have died.
I so appreciate how lucky I was that night because I'm pretty sure it could have gone another way.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling so much better. You know, touch wood, nothing happens again.
Yeah. It's so great to see her back to her old self and doing the things that she loves. Just seeing the happiness that that brings means the world. Big relief to know that you're doing well.
Yeah, it's all good. This event's made me want to be with my family a lot more because you never know when you may not be there for them. You just don't know what's around the corner.